direction is more important than destination. If you're going in the right direction, you'll get where you want to go. A lot of people are like, I got to get to this destination. I got to get this to destination. And then they make emotional decisions that actually take them off the path. And to me, the next step is direction. Right? So if you're like, I know I got to do this. This is for sure going to help me get to where I want to go. Cool. Right direction. You take that step. You get good at that step. Take the next step and the next step.
What's going on, friends? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you are new here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton. I am your host every single week, and I have a powerhouse of a full-length episode for you today. I am interviewing Luka Hocevar. And if you do not know who Luka is, you are in for a treat. Luka is one of those professionals, one of those coaches, and one of those experts in this world that like all the other experts talk about. Like I'm very blessed and fortunate enough to be friends with a lot of really, really bad motherfuckers in the world of coaching and weight loss and transformation. And every single one of these people that I look up to, all look up to Luka. They're all like, he's brilliant. He's amazing. He's incredibly intelligent. And on top of it, he's a 10 out of a 10 human. Luka is fantastic. And I'm so excited that I had the opportunity to interview him on the show. We had a lot of technical difficulties in the very beginning, but Luka is just amazing. And he's just like, nope, let's roll with it. Let's keep going. And I love it. So you're going to get a lot out of this episode. I know it, because the thing is with Luka is he is an expert with things like peak performance. He's got like a lot of clients that are in the NFL, in the NBA, things like that. But he hosts a really big gym in Seattle, and the majority of his clients are like middle-aged moms that want to get really strong and feel better. But then he also dives into the mindset and psychology behind all of this. And he was telling me off camera that it's some of his favorite stuff to teach and talk about. So I knew, on top of me already wanting him to come onto the show, I knew this was going to be a great fit. So I know you're going to get a lot out of this episode. So you want to stay tuned for the entire thing and stick around. But before we do, let's have a big thank you to the sponsors of the show. Sponsor number one is Flex Pro Meals, because it just makes things easier having your meals show up to your house. Like, to be honest, we all live such crazy lives, where sometimes we either don't make food in time, or we don't make enough food, or you're just not feeling it after a crazy day at work and kids and life to just make food. So it makes it really nice having all these foods that taste amazing. They were made by a chef and they meet your goals, just ready to go on deck in your fridge. And they're cheaper than a drive-through, especially with my discount. You're literally saving money than just running to Chipotle. So definitely check them out, flexpromeals.com. I'm always blown away at what they have on their menu, and they're always updating it. So like I swear every month or two, I'm trying new food. Definitely check what they have going on, and I think you'll be surprised and you will be very blown away and very happy with it. But I want to save you some money. So if you use my code Hamilton Trained at checkout, it saves you like 20%, which is pretty legit. And then second sponsor of the show is First Form. I don't know if you can see it. I've got the black on black hoodie on right now, so you may not be able to read it if you're watching the YouTube, and you should totally be watching the YouTube. But massive thank you to First Form, because we all know, I say it every single episode, supplements are not the end all be all. I have people ask me, and they slide into my DMs all the time asking if, this supplement's needed, or, well, this program has this great talk, but I have to buy their supplements every month. And it should not be like that. Your success should not be predicated on the majority being supplements. You should not be spending the majority of your money or more money on subs than you are on groceries. I used to be in that category back in the day. So, but the thing is, supplements are there for filling gaps you aren't getting with food. If you're not getting enough protein, supplement. If you aren't getting enough, you want more caffeine, supplements. If you aren't getting enough anti-inflammatory stuff in foods in your system, supplement. There's all these reasons for them, but they just have to be appropriate. They're not the end all be all. They are to fill gaps. That's it. But unfortunately, not all supplements are created equal, or supplement companies are created equal. That's why we work with First Form, because we know quality is the number one thing, and your money is going to quality and safety and accuracy, and not just, the least amount of bullshit they can put in a container, throw a proprietary blend on, and call it a day. So if you're into that and you really want to kind of see what they have going on, definitely check out First Form's website below. I think they have some free shipping stuff going on still. But otherwise, that is it for the sponsors. Let's get into the interview with Luka. I know you're going to get a lot out of this. We talk all over the place on mindset strategies and inner game work, and how to structure your habits, and some very amazing reframes that's going to help change your situation on all of this stuff. So we're going to get into it. I'll talk to you in just a second. Good stuff.
So we can rock and roll, bro. We can, because the thing is, I can restart, no problem. There's no I'll get into it. So,
to be honest, I really think this is a good thing to talk about, because we're already recording and stuff. I think this is a really good thing to bring up. Is very rarely do plans ever go according to the way that we want them. You know what I mean? But
that's actually, yeah, this is a good, because I do this with nutrition all the time. I don't know if you do this, but it's like, when you make a plan, and it's like you got to plan with the client. It's like, okay, great, this is what we're gonna do. It's like, all right, thumbs up, and then they go. I always go like, okay, but what if you can't do this? Mm-hmm. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, things go wrong all the fucking time. So what's the plan B to the plan A? Right? Be prepared for the plan B.
Yeah.
Obviously we're executing plan B right now. So
yeah. But imagine if we pull down an all or nothing mentality, like every average weight loss mom uses, and they're like, oh, it didn't go to, I'm an all or nothing person. I'm going to give up my entire podcasting career and coaching business just because this didn't go very well. You know what I mean? But like, that sounds absurd over here, but that's the normal everyday in like most people's weight loss journeys. You know what I mean?
No, it is. Well, think about it. I think there's an expectation part to it. If you have a perspective and a story in your mind that, when you and weight loss journey is a great example, right? Because it's so many complexities. And I always love sharing the example of complicated versus complex, right? And there's so many complexities because the expectation is like, okay, this should be kind of smooth. No, like it's not smooth. It's difficult, right? It's like, if it was smooth, we'd have a lot less health issues and weight loss, I should say obesity issues in the country and things of that nature. And again, zero judgment on that part. I'm saying that if you go into it going like, hey, there's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be stuff that is going to be more difficult than other things. And it's not going to be a linear way. It's going to be that, meme that you see where it's like things drop off.
Yeah.
And how success goes like this, right? I think it's a different, I don't think you don't fall down as far understanding that you're going to run into roadblocks, right? And again, piggybacking on the practices thing that we talked about, when you understand that something is a practice, and you might go like, well, I'm not as good at this skill, right? I got to practice it more. It's a much different story than like, I wasn't meant for this.
Right.
This is just a really hard thing for me. Like, these are all stories that we tell ourselves, right? But if you can look at it and go like, if I have you start playing, some sport that you really never played before, I don't know, ping pong, volleyball, whatever it may be, right? And okay, we start playing right now. And you like, if you sucked, would you be like blown away that you suck?
No,
you'd be like, man, I really haven't practiced this at all. Like, maybe I got some, movement patterns and proprioception and things from other sports, and I'm athletic. Cool. Okay. But you just wouldn't be that great at the skill. And it's like, I love Dave Tate has a great chart for this, right? It's like shit, suck, good, great. Right. Like,
I love that.
It's like, so, hey, you're in a shit phase right now. And it's, you gotta keep practicing. You'll get the suck, and then you'll get the good, and you'll get the great. And if you break it down, and, this is, like I love the James Clear analogy of identity and casting votes for identity. It's the same thing, right? Like I think practice of a skill, identity, and casting votes for that are very similar, because if you end up going like, well, I've had 30 to 40 grams of protein with every meal now for 60 times this month. Now remember, let's say there's 3 meals in a day. There's 30 days in a month. That's 90 meals would be perfection, right? But you got 60. So 2 out of 3. That's damn good. Like you have built that skill set up, right? It's not perfect, but you're building that skill set up and you're getting better. In month 2, you're going to feel a lot more confident because you've practiced it enough to where now it's like, oh yeah, okay, you know what? Got to run out the door. Can't make myself the usual omelet that I do. But, I did 2 shots of espresso and poured Premier Protein over that. That's 30 grams right there. Mm-hmm. And then I had a Greek yogurt with some berries and some granola, whatever else it may be, right? Because now it's like, yeah, I built the skill of practicing to put, to have this baseline of protein in my meals, because that's what's going to lead me to, fill in the blank of your goal. And when you look at that, and I think that it's very important for people to create frameworks inside of their minds, right? When it comes to things like weight loss, building muscle, getting stronger, and in anything else in life, right? Where they go, the accumulation of these different skill sets will help me become the person that I want to become.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so then when you go and look at it and go like, I'm pretty good at this one. So for example, a lot of moms that I know that we coach, are very organized, right? I mean, you have to be to a certain degree. It's like you got kids, you got to drop them off here, right? Like, and so why don't you use that strength that you already have in organization to organize your meals? Right. And it's like, so again, I'm a big believer in like exposing strengths. Like, man, like, yo, I couldn't do what you do. You got 3 kids and you're like running around doing this, man, you're very organized. Wow. All right. Now let's take that strength and figure out how to organize your meals, because that's the thing that you've been struggling with. And the thing is, when they see that, they go like, yeah, you know what? I am damn organized. I'm doing 27 different things per day. Okay, let's organize your meal. Right? But look at it as a practice. And then it's like, this is your strength. What are some weaknesses? Okay, you're not practicing it a lot. How can we make you practice it to where it's not going to be overwhelming? Right. And I think that that's obviously the other side of building skill set, is that people take on too much and then it's too challenging and they get frustrated. Yeah. Just like if it's too easy, you get bored. Right. And finding that sweet spot, I mean, that's part of the art. The art of transformation is finding the sweet spot for most things. Right.
Yeah. Along those lines, do you find that it's both, this is how I always felt, but I've never really asked anyone else this. Do you feel like it's both the art and a science? Like, but if we live on one side of the spectrum, it's not quite appropriate. Like if it's just the science of transformation, like, yeah, calories in, calories out, get stronger, all that. But then there's the art side of it, like what we're talking about. But if it's all art and no science, I feel like there's a disconnect. I feel like we have to have both.
You have to have both, because if you're fully in art, then you can start doing stuff where like, look, we science is evolving, right? It's like we're, as some would say, we continue to be less wrong, right? But it's like 3 years from now, you'll be like, remember that thing that we were doing? So dumb, right? Remember how like fat burning zone, and now it's zone 2. And it's so that so I do think that like you have to have these scientific principles that give you guidance, but at the same time, like, look, I was just I had Brett Bartholomew on my podcast. Again, we're talking about, coaching, and it, like, the actual scientific definition of coaching is like, it's a social interaction that's underpinned by communication, right? So communication is the foundation of coaching, but there's 3 aspects to coaching, which is communication, problem solving, and then the technical expertise, right? So technical expertise, if we looked at training, is everything from your sets and your reps and your movement patterns and the program design part, and like organizing that, periodization. And also, like, we could even go into like, and it's like the nuances of the coaching cues. Hey, the RDL is like this. And let's look at the biomechanics anatomy of this person. Like, should they be doing a little wider squat? Should they be doing this? Should they be doing that? By the way, that's important, like very important. I think, you got to know that stuff. And that's kind of on that side of the spectrum of science, right? To me, the art becomes more in that communication and problem solving, which, look, there's a science to that as well. But it's the difference between is the guy that's like really science and goes, you know what? You should be doing these, like, you're doing too many of these movement patterns and not enough this. And like, it'd be better if they were staying in a 6 rep range. And I'm like, yeah, but listen, when I give Mary this, she likes it. And then Mary doesn't hurt. And she feels like, when we're doing a burnout for her triceps, she thinks that the fat in her tricep is gonna affect that. And she feels good about that. And she thinks that I'm listening to her. So she keeps coming back for the training sessions. And so, because she keeps coming back, she builds muscle, gets stronger, and she gets results, right? And the thing, that is the art, because now what am I doing? Well, part of communication is listening. So I'm listening, I'm curious, I'm understanding what matters to her and why. And then, the problem solving part is like, we could argue, we're moving into this realm of like AI, AI is going to start writing better and better programs. You know what I mean? As far as you put stuff into the system, like, this is the way that Luka writes programs. Here's like, 1,000 of his previous programs, and AI will spit out something pretty damn good, right? And it'll get better and better at it. But getting that on paper and then administering, same goes for nutrition, right? Getting that on paper and like administering it to the person, where you go like, I'm seeing them and their body language is off when they're doing this exercise. Hey, Mary, how does that feel? Okay, actually, you know what? Let's change this up a little bit.
Yeah.
which exercise do you prefer? Bulgarian split squat or reverse lunge? Oh, I like the reverse lunge. Cool. I just created a choice and autonomy, and which means that gives them control. And they pick that one. And somebody could be like, well, but you should do this and this. Again, this is now the art of it, right? And Martin Rooney always said this great analogy to me, which was like, when in music, when you look at the notes on paper, right? And it's like, okay, there's a structure there. That's the science of music right there. But man, when you play the music, there's something different, right? That's different. The art. It's like, so to me, the jazz, jazz is the intersection of that science and art. And it sometimes is difficult to explain. And it takes a lot of, experience. You got to get the reps in. But I do feel like, here's the thing though. I think this is one of the most under kind of studied things in our space, which is, I literally just shared, there's communication, and there's a lot of different skill sets under communication. Then problem solving, same thing, right? It's very heavily still, I think it's getting better, but very heavily like thrown into that technical expertise. But I believe that, to be an excellent coach that helps the most people and, most possible and create the biggest impact, you've got to get the others down and you got to practice them. Like, you know what I mean? And then this is maybe talking a little bit more on the coaching side of things. But I always said it, like, you could go online right now when it comes to nutrition, spend 2 weeks diving deep. Macronutrients, micronutrients, calories, macro breakdowns. And look, you're going to be far from learning everything about nutrition. You can spend the rest of your life doing that. But you'll know everything that you need to know to be healthy, to drop weight, to build muscle, like everything, right? It's like the X's and O's in 2 weeks. You'd be like, oh, okay, it's making a lot of sense. And yet, why can we not, have people change? And that's because that is social norms, environments, behavior change, habit triggers, or, who you're surrounding yourself by, past traumas and triggers and things like that, emotional eating, right? I mean, we could go down kind of the rabbit hole of that. And so that's where kind of like the art comes into play. Like, how do we take these X's and O's and help this person implement them, right? So that one, they actually are like, yes, I know that this thing is going to get me the thing that I want. But then also, kind of, I would say, find out what's under the hood. And under the hood is not just it's like biophysiosocial, right? It's biology, psychology, sociology. It's a lot of things that happen. And that brings me to that, complicated versus complex. Okay. And so complicated, my favorite analogy of this is like IKEA furniture, right? It's like you get that fucking thing and it's like, what the hell? And now the thing is, if you do follow the steps, you actually do get it accomplished. It can be a little frustrating.
Right.
But the thing is, there is a sequencing and a process to getting that done, right? Although certain things might be hard, it's still, that's complicated. Complex is where one variable changes and it changes all the other variables, right? And so take a client, for example. It's like they've been crushing it for a year, right? Something happens in their life, something traumatic, divorce, sickness, now all of a sudden working 2 jobs. All the stuff that they did, because of one new input, it throws everything else off, right? Even though you've developed these practices, now things are different. And so that's why, even though the X's and O's of nutrition, because humans are complex, now you start getting, and that's where coaching comes into play. And that's why I think it's so important, with nutrition. It's like there's these moving, for instance, there's these things that can make such a huge impact, that whether call them keystone habits, but like somebody joins a program or a gym and everybody there is working to achieve like better health and fitness, right? So now you have joined an environment where the tribe has certain standards, right? As social creatures, we now started adhering to the standards of the tribe. Oh, well, and before that, maybe your tribe was like, hey, I'm going out 4 nights a week, drinks, pizza, whatever it may be. And, if you don't go out, they're like, you're such a party pooper, or like, what's wrong? Oh, okay, you're getting healthy now, and so you feel bad, right? Because it's like, whoa, I don't want to be pushed out from the social tribe. That's one of the most painful things there is. So, one decision to change your environment and all of a sudden go like, well, I'm not going to go out 4 days a week. I'm going to go out once. The other 3, I'm actually going to train in the evening at this gym that I like, and they're going to help me with nutrition. I'm going to get a nutrition coach. You have now changed your environment, and that one thing is going to start affecting that biophysiosocial in a positive way.
Yeah.
Right. Just like same thing. Same thing can be said for a different environment that will affect it in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's that's why I'm always like, hey man, we pick our environments, and then we choose our environments, and then those environments shape us.
Yeah.
And changing your environment is like one of the it's the thing that we coach so much. And that can go from kitchen makeover.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, sit down, make over your kitchen, and it might not be perfect, but take all the trigger foods out. Right. And now if you want to go get them, sure, drive to the store and get it. 19 out of 20 times you're like, damn, I don't want to drive 20 minutes there. Right. And it's that whole thing, like make good habits easier to do, make bad habits harder to do. And you can do that with environments. And you can't affect everything. Like you can't just change where you work by tomorrow, maybe, or certain people in your life. You can't be like, all right, that's it. Family, you're out of here.
Bye, mom.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But there's way more that you can change and affect than you usually think. Right. Than you usually think. And even to a degree, like we'll do stuff like, look, I remember I did this thing called Mind Map with Dax Moy back in the day. Excellent course. I don't even know if he's still doing them, but it was like, how do you get somebody to feel better like right away? It's like, you get somebody to go, hey, go get your nails done, buy a nice dress. Like you'll feel better about yourself, right? And if that's the goal, you can do that right away. Mm. And by the way, those two things don't negatively affect you. You could also feel better right away and eat it, probably eat a pizza, but that's going to be a very, very short-term dopamine hit, right? My point being is that's an environment change. Hey, go to the spa, like relax, do something nice for yourself. That'll make you feel good, right? What about your home environment? Is there things that you could rearrange? Which I did this drill. I went through divorce. I had a shit show. I got a therapist, and it was like, hey, are there things in your environment that are triggering you? Mm. And I had a whole bunch. I was like, I would come home and it'd still be stuff from my past. Whether it was pictures or things, and it was like, okay, well, listen. Why don't you recreate your environment so that's one that you like coming home to, right? What music do you like when I'm a kind of very, very go personality. And so it's like, how do I get myself to calm down? And it was, my girl's phenomenal at this because she's got plants, she's got, candles, scents. You come home, it's like chill music. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And it's like, it doesn't take that much, but now where you live, your home, I've just changed the environment, and now it's triggering a different behavior, a different feeling. But we're so go that we tend to not look at these things. And so then, we got the environment that keeps guiding us into all these different directions that we don't want to go. And we got to stop, we got to stop and assess it, because I always say assessment precedes awareness, and then awareness precedes change. And there's not enough people that, assess their situation. I mean, simple one with food is obviously like, hey, here's a 5-day food journal. Let's just look at what point A is. Let's just see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you start looking at things like that and you go like, damn, or when you look at, again, kitchen makeover, assess what is your kitchen like? What is your home like? Okay. What about work? When you go and eat, cafeteria, what type of foods do they have? Right. And the thing is, by zooming out, assessing that, creating awareness, and then slowly starting to go, okay, do we want to start with low-hanging fruit, or do we want to start with the hardest thing, eat the frog? The client chooses. Yeah. Right. You choose what you believe you can handle. And I've always loved this PN question, which is like, I call it the magic question. That's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can do this, 80, 90% of the time? Mm-hmm. Right. And if they say 9 or 10, that's probably all right, let's go with this. If you give me a 7, sometimes even an 8, but like 7 is like, okay, what's going to get you to a 10? Or maybe we need to make it easier until you say 9 or 10. Right. Right. Because there's a thing about believability, right? If you don't believe that you can do something, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you're not going to try hard to do it. It's like, oh man, I can't do this. So then you don't do it. So you get to a point where you find, and that's going to be different for everybody, by the way. I'm sure, like, think about the clients that you have. I have some, like, we have a client, Bonnie, I just shit you not. So she's tracked her MyFitnessPal for like 2,800 days every day.
Holy shit.
Every day. Hasn't missed a day in 2,800 days, right? Bananas. But, cultural upbringing, very like this, that gives her control and actually calm, right? If you make me track 2,800 days of anything, I'm going to probably lose my marbles.
Yeah.
Right. And 8 out of 10 of our clients, when we ask that question, about, hey, are you open to, for instance, tracking macros, this, that, the other? They're like, I'd prefer not to. Right. And then we can still track, we can still do things, we can still instill the next habit, pictures, all these different things that we can track with. But the thing is, if from the get-go, because there's some folks like, well, I guess I can. I'm like, no, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident you feel you can do this 90% of the time? 6, 7. Okay, then we're not going to do that.
Right.
Because we're starting you off with something that's not going to be successful for you. And so I think that's key. It really is individualization. And again, there's a lot of the art part in that.
Sure.
Right. You can't, tell me this, look, there's more and more science, by the way, on these things. But isn't it like, it's interesting because if you have an A-type personality and they're like, no, I want to track, I want everything to the T, send me this in the app, boom, 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 right? And somebody else is like, this will freak me out.
Yeah. Panic attack.
I've tried this and that's the reason why I gained weight and lost it, or lost weight and then gained it back because it was like, I felt like that if I made a mistake that I was wrong and then it messed up the whole thing. Yeah. And that's an art, like figuring out what that is for each person. That's definitely the art part.
Mm-hmm. Along those lines, you said something that made my ears perk when you're talking about like these beliefs that become self-fulfilling prophecies and things like that, which I agree with 1,000%. But how do you get someone, from your opinion, who doesn't, like, they have so much failure, so many struggles, and they've been off the game more than they've been on the game? How do you get that person to start actually believing in themselves? Otherwise, it's this vicious feedback loop. Like, they don't believe themselves, they get shitty results. Then they don't believe in themselves more, they get shittier results. And this is nasty loop. So how do you break someone out of that and get this person with this horrendous track record to start believing in themselves?
This brings me to my favorite analogy.
Let's hear it.
It is the self-esteem bank account. And the thing is, like, sometimes telling this story to a client, they see themselves in the story. Because I always like to say, like, try to get clients to trip over their own truth, right? Instead of you telling them.
I love that so much.
Right? And you know what I'm talking about. Like, I've had a mentor that like ask me questions, and literally as they ask me questions, I say the thing where I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, I see where okay, I see what I'm doing. Right? But I figured it out. They didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. So it's, and that happens with questions. But, usually when I tell this story, I've had a lot of clients just go nod and be like, man, I get it. Because if they get it, it's a lot easier to then go like, okay, let's turn this around. You understand the concept now. Let us turn this around. So the concept of the self-esteem bank account is exactly that, right? Like, when it's not about what you say to me, right? It's not, hey, Luka, I'm going to do this. It's about what you say to yourself. So, hey, tomorrow, damn it, I'm starting this diet, right? And you didn't sleep well, you get up, kids are losing their shit. You're like, you get them off to school and you're like, stressed out, emotional eating, right? Like you're in that space, you're not thinking with your, I would say, prefrontal cortex, you're still in an emotional brain. And so coffee, 2 donuts, bam, you're back on the same thing. But the thing is, as soon as you do it, you go, man, I didn't do what I said I would do. So what happens? Right now, you get basically a debit in the self-esteem bank account. Right? Boom. And it gets hit. All right, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to get up and go for a run. Get up, you're tired, you didn't sleep well again, snooze. Boom, another debit in the self-esteem bank account. And so if you stack those up enough, you go bankrupt, with your self-esteem. And then it starts becoming that, like, you don't believe yourself at all. Right? Whatever you say, you don't believe it. And I think a lot of people get to that place. And it's, it truly isn't, like, if you don't understand this, I do believe that, like, it's not your fault because, and by the way, I'm all about taking responsibility, right? I think you got to take 100% responsibility for your life. But I think that sometimes, you don't know what you don't know. And so if you don't know it, you're doing, the best with what you know, but that's not a good strategy. It's not a good approach, right? It's not a good principle. And so here, people will say, well, damn, like if I'm bankrupt in self-esteem, Luka, how the hell do I get out of this? And it's like, well, you got to start stacking credits, right? And the thing is, what happens when people are, tends to be a cycle. When somebody's bankrupt in self-esteem, they go, you know what, New Year's, fuck it. New program, 5 days a week, boom, doing this, going hardcore. It's too much. It's beyond their capacity.
Yeah.
Right. So they fall off again. And guess what? Oh, I knew it. I can't do it. It's genetics. It's this, it's that. It's just not me. It's right? Belief systems. Whereas if we can get wins, no matter how small, right? And look, again, going back to what I said earlier, make it easier on yourself. Mm-hmm. Pick the right environments, pick the right community, right? Make it easier on yourself. But again, make sure that now I can actually do this. I have the capacity to do it, because now when I do it, yeah, it's a little credit, but it's a damn credit.
Yeah.
And then we do this exercise with clients where, most people tend to beat themselves up a lot more than they talk positively to themselves, right? Sure. And so we do 3 client wins per day. And it's like every night you're gonna write out 3 wins. Dude, the win can be anything. Like, hey, I met with a friend for coffee I haven't seen in a long time, but they're into fitness and I want to get into fitness. So we hung out. It's like, it was really inspiring. Great client win. Awesome. I did this like 20-minute app workout. Like, it wasn't an hour, but like, did you get it in? Yeah, did you get it last week? No. That's fucking awesome. That's great. Win. Right. Hey, I got 2 meals with 30 grams of protein in. Awesome. That's a win. So now, that person is like credit. If we can get 21 credits at the end of the week, guess what? That person is going to feel more confident about themselves. And that's going to spur, again, when you feel confident about something, now you can take on more.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how we do it. And we find that sweet spot for that person. And again, ideally create environments to help them win, but then also create, let's say, practices and next behaviors that they feel confident enough to actually take on. And that creates a snowball. And at a certain point in time, you build up enough credits to where if you mess stuff up, it doesn't touch you. It's kind of like if somebody, I've got enough credits in a lot of areas of life, and somebody goes like, Luka, you suck as a coach. I'm like, okay, right? Okay. All right, cool, sure. And it's like, because you built up enough credits, right? Or like you miss a workout and it's like, yeah, you're like, oh, I got to get back on track. I got enough credits to where it's not going to throw me off course, make me feel any type of way, shift my identity. And I think that's, that story, hopefully people resonate with it, because I am legitimately serious. Like, it's every time I do a thing, even when I started doing YouTube or podcasting, or like at the beginning, it's like, it's slow. You do a video, but I'm like, okay, I am putting in this vote in my identity box. I'm building this practice. I got 10 practices in on this one, 15, 20. Okay, boom. Now there's 100. Now, on YouTube, now there's 1,600 videos. Podcasts is, between the two, there's a couple hundred. Okay, I've stacked all these credits now. All right, now I can take on more. I can make it harder. Mm-hmm. And I think if somebody can go, hey, if you tried it this hard, what makes you think that this time is going to be different? Do a different approach. Find a different approach, right? And the cool thing about it, there's a lot of approaches, right? Like, if you look at nutrition, and we could kind of riff and argue about these different things. The different, keto and carnivore and vegan and right? Like, at the end, if you look at the principles and go like, hey, if you can stick to the principle, there's a number of different ways you can go about it. Obviously, hey, some have these downsides and some have these downsides, but at the end of the day, you're not on a tightrope, right? I always give the analogy of like creating boundaries like a basketball court. You can dribble like a lot of different places, left, right, up, down.
Beautiful.
But there's out of bounds, and it's like, here's your out of bounds. But the thing is that when you create strict things for people, like, to me, that's a tightrope. Mm-hmm. Right? Here's your macros, exactly like this many meals, this meal plan, follow it to the T. And then like fucking life happens, of course. And it's like, you're on a tightrope. Oh shit, got to step off. And then you think you fall off and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to start again. I'll wait when it's a better time. And then I'll start again on this thing.
Right.
And that's how you get into these cycles of like, well, yeah, I did, get in shape and I fell out of shape and I got in shape and I fell out of shape. And the goal is always to be like, what's sustainable, which answers the question like, who do I want to become? What's my identity, right? Because that will stay, that will stick, right? Where the short-term stuff won't.
I love that so much. We talk about identity a ton in this stuff, and I think it's so important. But I would love to hear for those that haven't heard like the identity conversation about like why identity matters. Because for those that are listening that are like, I just want to not be so fat. I just want to, like I just want to lose this weight. But like why is identity so important, and why does it impact so much?
Because the thing is, when you look at, let's break this down. Like I think this is important. So when people say mindset, it's kind of like, what does mindset mean?
Yeah.
And mindset is an ecosystem of beliefs, right? So you hold a whole bunch of different beliefs. By the way, ones that you may not consciously even know that you hold that belief, right? And that ecosystem of beliefs creates your mindset, right? And this is why I think it's important to explore beliefs. I know it could be getting a little woo-woo-ish here, but like
this is it. This is what I live for. I love it.
Oh, let's go. And look, there's a lot of science behind it too, if you want to geek out on this stuff, right? Like, but I always say, like, the belief that you hold, does it serve you? And when you get, so I've had people go like, well, but like, just my family genetics is that they're just not great. Like in the past, if I tell you, and I'm like, well, let me ask you something. How does that belief serve you? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm saying, believing that, what does it do for you? And they're like thrown off by it. I said, well, you got to understand, like, if you believe that, automatically you will behave in a certain way, right? Because why would I do all this hard work if we're just destined to be this way?
Yeah.
Right? You won't on a subconscious level. And look, this can go even deeper where sometimes, and I'm gonna blank on the research and the books that I got this from, but it was like, sometimes people hold weight because it protects them, right? It's safe. Like I don't, it's like if I get fit, more people will talk to me,
more
people will engage with me, and that will make me feel unsafe. And there's a past trauma, right, that led to that. So it basically might be, hey, being out of shape, having extra weight equals safety. That's the belief.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So of course, if you attach those two things and go like, no, if I get fit, if I get the healthiest that I can be, if I drop weight, that now equals unsafe, then why would you go there? Right. And so you have to explore that belief, because that belief may be holding you back. And look, if you're a person, think about this. And I can speak from my past, by the way. Like I want to, be the furthest from holier than thou, because my life has been a shit show. As like I used to be a criminal, and basketball saved my life, and I've been married and divorced and cheated, and I say, by the way, I say that because every one of those things led me to get help, to go into therapy, to join Wake Up Warrior, and a million other different things to overcome certain beliefs and create a different identity, where I was like, who do I want to become? Do I want to be this person that does that? No, I don't. I want to be this type of person. And that's what identity is, right? And so as we're on this, I think it's really, really important in how I frame it for myself and how I started framing it for clients, right? And I wanted to give these kind of examples. That one was a little bit of extreme, but that happens a lot, by the way. Being out of shape and equals being safe, right? And that's a belief system that you hold. Now, I started going, hey, who are the people that I admire? And I would call it hunting, or say collecting role models, right? So I would look at people and go like, I really love these attributes of this person, right? Whether it was in business and philanthropy, and it was like Richard Branson. And I'd read all the biographies, and it'd be like, hey, I'm collecting a role model. The way this person does that, I want to become that. I want to have these aspects of their basically life / skill sets, personality, right? And I'd look at another area and be like, oh my God, that guy, that guy's in his 40s, super fit and healthy. He's not crushing himself. He's doing, okay, cool. Collect that role model, right? And you'd go and essentially almost create, I'm like, when you create a video game player.
Yeah, build your character.
Like, what I'm saying? Like 2K, like NBA, like the new one, 2024. And it's like build the ultimate player. But it's like you get to do that. By the way, like you get to do that, and there's no rules to going like, I'm going to collect these role models and piece them together and do a Megatron of who I want to become.
Yeah.
Right. And so now, but here's the thing. So now you got this something that's aspirational, right? And the question that I ask myself is who I want to become. Now I got to go hunting for skill sets, right? And we talked about that, right? The skill sets that break down have practices that you can do every day.
Yeah.
And those skill sets will build an identity, right? And to me, that's the game, right? It's straight up the game. And I've always loved this analogy of life, right? It's basically a video game that, obstacles are bosses, right? And you get to a boss, and guess what? Like usually you play the video game at first the boss beats you, right? But you don't stop playing the video game. You get a little pissed off. You come back. You practice, right? You practice the moves. You're like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing. Like the gorilla's smashing me this way. I gotta move left, right. I gotta do this, right? Strategy and skill. And you come back, boom, you beat the boss. On the other side of the boss, what happens? Your character gets stronger. You get an extra bazooka, extra heart. Like you're better, right? Like you're a better version of yourself. And then guess what happens? New levels, new devils. There's just another boss, right? And life is just this series of infinite bosses. But what I try to explain to people is like this. Imagine playing a video game and somebody gives you the controller, like, all right, here's a controller. All you got to do is like press forward, red and green button, and you're going to crush everybody, kill everybody, get through the game. It's going to be done. You'd be like, what a fucking horrible game to play. Like, this is no fun. No challenge, right? No challenge, right? I don't want to play that game. But in life, when we get to the boss, many times we do exactly that. Oh, hard stuff. Fuck. I'm not playing this game. Let me find another game that's easier, right? And so I think, again, this is an analogy that's important. That's like, to become who you want to become, you got to face the bosses. And if the boss beats you once or twice or 5, 7, 8 times, it doesn't matter. You can keep coming back and eventually you beat them. And you build resilience and you build new skills and you build, again, new belief systems that take you to that next level. And I think that's a very, very important part. And it's like, I always tell this story. I was playing, I haven't played, let's just say Call of Duty for a long time, but I was playing it with my nephew. It was like last Christmas. And we're playing and he's like, Uncle, let's go this way. Let's go this way. It's like, that's where all the like shootings going on. I was like, whoa, bro, like, why are we going that way? It's like, man, that's where all the action and the fun is. And I'm like, okay, here's this like kid that's like, why are we trying to avoid the stuff? The action, the difficulty, the obstacles. Like that's where we got to go because that's what gets us to the next level, right? And just reframing, life. And instead of going like, oh my God, this is going to be hard. I got to get away from that. The belief to go like, no, this is the staircase to the person that I want to become. And again, kind of building your own player through that mindset of collecting role models and hunting for skill sets. And I would say, it's a really powerful thing to put yourself in the environments of those role models. Now, how do you do that? Somebody would be like, well, I don't have the money to go into mentorship. I don't have this, that, the other. But guess what? Read the books of the people.
Yep.
Go to their seminars, buy their course, right? Read their blog posts, watch their stories, watch their Instagram or their Facebook, right? And again, your environment, if you got a bunch of stuff on your phone that's like, negative and shit, that's part of your environment, right? You watch like, Real Housewives for like 8 hours a week. And by the way, sometimes I watch it because my girl put that on. I'm like, damn, like this is this is fucking stressful. All they do is argue. It's all drama, right? And by the way, look, if you watch a little bit of that, cool. But you got to understand that everything that you feed your brain is going into your environment.
Yep. 100%.
And and again, like this is a very, very important part of when you zoom out and like people go like, damn, you know what? I am putting myself in these situations where they're not great for the person that I want to become. And so there's another part, on the identity side of things, I think is really important to mention. And it's this. Imagine that most people, the way that they go about their life or day is like this. They have a thought, right? And whatever that thought might be, oh, I'm tired. Okay. And that thought leads to a feeling, right? So the thought might be, man, like I'm tired. So then the feeling becomes I'm tired. Then the action is like, I'm not going to go to the gym. Right. Or the thought might be like, you know what, I'm stressed out. Let me calm myself. So I'm stressed. I'm going to sip on a glass of wine to calm myself down.
Right.
But I would argue for a different approach, right? And so think about that sequence of events. What happened was there was a thought, then there was a feeling, then that feeling led to an action, right? I would flip, and then by the way, that action then leads to an identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if you flipped it around and you said, what identity do I want to build?
Mm-hmm.
And then you would take the action that it takes to build that identity, and then you would get a feeling. See what I'm saying? And that feeling would probably be the feeling that you want. And people are very, very, I would say, guided by their emotions. You know, oh, I'm angry, so I'm going to do this. So I'm tired, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And if they were just like, no, who do I want to become? What would that person do? Right. And now I'm going to take that action. Like almost always you'll feel better about it. It's kind of like the, analogy, like nobody regretted a workout. Right. And, same thing as like, if you ate a meal that's aligned with your goals, like nobody regretted that. You're like, man, like I feel better about eating this meal. It's the same thing. It's absolutely the same thing. And, if you kind of think from that perspective, and it leads me to this, what is commitment? And we talked about like a little bit like, commitment is three things for me, right? Number one is like, do what is required. So, I mean, everybody can agree on certain things, right? Like, hey, if you want to get strong, I don't know, and win the deadlift title, and you go like, yeah, but I got an hour I can train a week. It's like, that's not what's required.
Sure.
You have to do more than that, right? Same thing with like, hey, I want to lose weight sustainably and be healthy, but 50% of the food that I eat is going to be junk food. That's probably not what's required, right? You could probably do 10 to 15% though, right? We can get there. So you have these specific things like this is what is required. So commitment is do what is required. Number two is connecting back to the self-esteem conversation. Do what you said you do, right? Do what you said you do when you said you do it. But the third one's the kicker though. The third one's the big one. And this is the one that people miss is do it despite of feelings, emotions, moods, and thoughts.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, what do people say to you? Like, for instance, if they veer off track, well, like I was feeling this way and like this had happened. Like there's always something that influenced it. But if you do the thing despite all of those things, that's commitment, right? Because you, again, to go back to that kind of inverse pyramid of like, I chose the identity first. Like, yeah, like I'm not that person right now because I haven't cast enough votes for that identity. But I'm going to make my decisions based on that filter. So I am a parent that I want to be an example for my kids. So I want to eat healthy. I want to be fit. That's the identity that I want to have, right? That's who I want to become. So I'm going to get up and I'm not going to make a choice based on how I feel and what I've been doing. I'm going to make a choice based on who I want to become. And it really is, I mean, seriously, again, back to kind of like hoping that people are not like, oh, I heard this before. No, listen, to know and not to do is not to know. So one of the most powerful questions that a person can ask themselves is like, who do I want to become?
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully some of the frameworks that I shared is like, the collecting role models thing, the hunting for skill sets, because then that breaks down into practices. And in nutrition, again, what are, we can go over so many different practices, but practices are things like, hey, I have 30 to 40 grams of protein with every meal. That's a practice, right? Then it's like 80% of the food I'm going to eat is going to be whole unprocessed, Okay, cool. That's a practice. I'm going to drink XYZ amount of water per day. That's a practice. I'm going to have, my plate is going to be a third veggies. That's a practice.
Right.
And I can, so again, like you can say all these different things that like every day you practice that, you get better at it. You get better at it. And now, people are always like, do you track your calories? Do you track that? I'm like, no, I don't. But I did certain practices long enough to where, I mean, I can look at a plate and be like, that's probably about this many calories. That's, and two, for myself, I know, right? Like you want to call it intuitive eating, but like you have to earn intuitive eating.
Yeah,
right? Like
for sure.
That's the thing, because your current intuition is leading you in the wrong direction. So you have to practice things to be able to be intuitively correct. Right? Because again, if your satiety is off, your hormones are off, Again, you're starving yourself, and like, you're always putting yourself into this survival mode where you can't really trust your intuition, right? So, and again, to me, it's always like this: if your intuition got you where you are right now, we can't trust it.
That's so good. That's so good.
Like you have to go like, no, I got to go off other things. I got to go off of identity, not my intuition right now. I have to go off of certain markers to be like, did I, tick the box, check, check the process. Did I do that? And not like, well, this is how I felt. Right. And now the thing is, but you do get to earn the how I feel. Right. Because I've practiced it long enough to where I'm like, hey, I'm hungry, but like, am I hungry because I'm, in psychology, you have this acronym, it's called HALT, right? Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Not even say bored there, right? But is it that? Because it's like, hey, I ate an hour ago. Man, it's not hunger.
Sure.
Like, it's one of these. Yeah, I just came from a stressful meeting. Oh, okay. So you're tired, you're stressed, you're angry. That's what's like making you hungry. You want to basically, pacify with food and make yourself feel a little bit better with food. I would even say like this. Sometimes if you're conscious of that, the 5-minute rule, wait 5 minutes. If you still feel the same way, go ahead, eat the cookie.
Yeah.
Right. But be conscious about it. Right? There's a big difference between going like, you know what? I get it. I'm stressed out, man. Like, I'll wait for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'm going to eat this damn cookie. I'll adjust later. Like, I know what I'm doing and I know I'm making a conscious choice. That's still a very big difference. And by the way, like, I still do that shit. Like, I got some, tough day. Like, fuck it, go to the farmer's market on Tuesday. And it's like Ghost Rider cookies, man, those babies. I mean, like, they're like 1,000 calories a pop. And I'm like, I'm going to eat 2 of these suckers. And guess what? You know what? I'm going to just take dinner off or some shit like that, right? It's a conscious decision. Sure. But the moment that you can start doing that, like, that's progress, right? Like, because, the hardest thing is that you get folks that are like not aware, you've probably heard of that box of when you're building a skill set, right? First, you start with unconscious incompetence.
Yep.
Right. It's like, I don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm doing a thing that's hurting my results.
Right.
And then you become aware, and now you go into conscious incompetence. You're like, oh shit, I'm doing this thing. I didn't know that I was drinking like 500 calories in wine per night. Oops. Yeah. Right. Like, and from there you start deliberately, intentionally building a new habit, and it takes you to conscious competence. That's where it's hard, right? Like, you have a reminder, you have a coach that guides you, right? It's like, it's difficult. But after a while, when you build that identity, now you're basically unconscious competence, right? And certain things that I can say, like, people always go like, oh, dude, how do you do the content thing? I'm like, man, I just did it for so long. It's like brushing my teeth. I'm going to shoot 2-3 pieces of content per day, every day. Right? It's not stressful, but it takes work to get there. And it's the same thing with nutrition. Like, you've probably known clients that, like, they started off and it was like, oh, they do good, but then they get into the messy middle, and it's like, oh. And then, after 3 years, it's like, man, they're dialed in. It's like, I do this, no problem. This is what I do, right? But again, even just the realization of how this stuff works, I think if people can go, oh, okay, that's how it works. I've been trying to make things too hard. I haven't checked my environments. I'm making a lot of decisions from emotion rather than from who I want to be, right? And then align it with practices that get me there. And that's a great starting point. You know what I mean? Like, start recording 3 wins. Like, if you're a person that beats yourself up a lot, again, make sure, my number one habit when it comes to nutrition, by the way, is like, it's got nothing to do with protein, this, that. It's plan, prepare, cook. That's the number one habit there is, right? It's like, know what you'll be eating the next day. Know when you'll be eating it, right? Because all the other principles don't matter if, like, people are like, tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to eat better. And it's like, you can't rely on, again, if you don't have a path and a plan, the default is going to be struggle. Right? The default is going to be what you're doing now, and now is not where you want to be. So you can, if the night before you're like, all right, for breakfast, literally the scramble's already in the bowl. It's done, right? All I got to do is pour into the pan. I got a, Greek yogurt with some berries, with some crumbled walnuts. Boom, it's already ready to go. So, like, I'm going to get up. It will take me less than 5 minutes to make this. I can peacefully eat it for like 10 to 15 minutes. Bam. So that's what I'm going to do first. For lunch, okay, usually I do cafeterias. This shit's not looking good. They don't have good choices. But a 5-minute walk from me is a Panera Bread. And if I get the apple Fuji crisp salad with extra chicken, that's only 600 calories. It's got like 30 grams of protein. But okay, I'm going to do that. Right. For dinner, listen, we shopped. I'm going to come home. We're going to do this. Right now, this is the other part, right? When we talk about the plan B, it's like we started with everything didn't go according to plan. With this podcast, but it's exactly that. I'll ask and say like, hey, is there anything that could go wrong for lunch? What do you mean? Oh, well, I do have a meeting before lunch. Do those meetings run long sometimes? Yeah, they do actually, like 1 out of 2 times. Okay, cool. If you can't go to Panera Bread or whatever it may be, I'm making some shit up. No sponsorship included here, by the way. but holla at me. But it's like, now we run into if not this, then what? Right? If plan A doesn't work, what's plan B? And plan B could be, this is not ideal, but I could stop at a gas station, get a core power 42, which I love those protein drinks, right? 42 grams of protein. And you know what? I'll get a legendary, like, I'll say Pop-Tart, 18 grams of protein, 160 calories. Ideal? No, but guess what? Better than eating whatever, right?
Sure.
So I'm not making real world examples up.
Yeah, I love it.
that are like, hey, it's better. It might not be perfect, but it's better. But you prepare for things going wrong. Because what happens if you're prepared? It's like, oh, this didn't work out. I know what to do. If you don't have a plan B, the moment that happens is like you go back to default.
Which is fuck it free for all for most people.
Okay, I'll just have the burger with the fries with the sauce. No, I don't know what's actually in it, but it is the whole day of my calories. Right? Like, and again, like life's not going to be perfect, but the thing is, these are like constructs and principles that we then add the methods and the tools on top of, right? And that's why I'm always like, hey, look, let's plan, prepare, cook. Ideally, again, I say plan, prepare, cook because maybe you're not the person that can cook all your meals for the week, but maybe you can get some delivery service. Maybe you can choose where you're going to go. Like, oh wow, there's a Q double right down the street. I looked at their site and there's this bowl that if I just do like the burrito bowl without this, that, the other, that's 500 calories. And like, I can have veggies in there, grilled veggies. I can do extra serving the protein, right? Cool. So you are prepared. Like, what you're going to get, when you're going to get it. And it's aligning with the thing that you want to achieve, right? There's a big difference between that and like, I'm just going to eat better tomorrow. Okay, how are you going to do that? You're going to just make a decision, a choice. You're just going to override like evolution of our psychology and biology. Okay, cool. All right. So, and that's, I think this is where the coaching comes in, but then this is where the art also comes in, right? Where people are like, man, Luka, I really like, we have a Friday night pizza night. Awesome. Cool. Keep the pizza night. Like, tell me a little bit more about what happens in pizza night. It's like, well, we make a pizza. All right. How many calories is that? Like, do you know? You know what? Have half the pizza instead of the full pizza. No problem. All right. Let's make some adjustments on, this day. What else do you like? Well, we really like brunch on Sunday. Like, do the stuff that you want to do. But if we can plan around it and we actually have a construct of, what to do so that you can have those meals and you can have your wine and you can, now your plan still leads to your goal.
Right.
But it's intentional. It's like, don't stop eating the stuff you want. But you know what? Again, back to the basketball court, right? Create some boundaries around it. So you can dribble left, right, this way, that way. But it's like, nope, this is out of bounds. And I always share like, look, this, by the way, this is my strategy. Doesn't need to be other people's strategy, but I'm like super regimented when I'm in Seattle. Like when, I basically eat at the same spots. I'm very like, if I walk into a spot around my gym, they're like, Luka, same, always same, like same. Whistle Stop Ale House. I get the spinach scramble, add fruit, take away hash browns, add wheat toast and avocado. At ginger, wild ginger, I get salmon, sauce on the side, add shrimp, white rice, with salad, right? So it's the same. But I'm a big foodie. Like, I love trying out new restaurants. I love, I watch food shows and like, oh shit, this spot, And so I know when I go with friends and we do food spots and this, that, the other, I'm not going to hold back. right? I'm going to enjoy myself and have the experience, have the dessert, have all the stuff, right? And a lot of times I'm like, okay, this restaurant is going to be a massacre. So tomorrow, like, I'm going to fast. I'm going to fast all the way. Like, for lunch, I might have something really light, a smoothie, and then I'm going to have dinner. And it's like, I'm going to align that, and that's going to get me back to normal.
Right.
And that, for me, that's just a great strategy. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but again, that's how I use principles to get me back and make me, because I think it's not a great approach to like feel bad all the time about what you're eating. But if you have a plan, you can actually circumvent that, because you can go like, man, I'm going to, I love movies. When I go to the movies, I have popcorn and Reese's Pieces. One of the greatest combinations of all time that people don't know about. But it's like, I love that. And it's like, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to have zero fucking judgment towards myself.
Yeah, I love
and enjoy it. Because there's nothing worse than going like, you're eating the thing and you're not feeling good about eating it. So now you can't even enjoy the thing, right? Same thing. I go to a restaurant and it's like, man, I want to try this new food. Yeah, it's like, not the most aligned thing with my goals, but it doesn't matter, because as long as my calories and my protein are good, I'm fine. So let's just make these adjustments around it, right? But again, I'm doing plan, prepare, cook as I'm going to do that stuff.
That's so good, man. I that aligns so much with like what I teach here and stuff. It's so good, man. I love that. That's incredible. So,
by the way, that was another energy drink opening. Like,
what's that?
what was that sound?
That's now you're speaking my language.
Caffeine.
I feel you, dude. Until I got my test taken care of, I was doing like almost a gram a day. I was a bad boy. I was having like 2 bangs and coffee every day and pre-workout. And then
I was the same way, a gram a day. I am probably at about a 500 milli per day right now.
Yeah.
Which by the way, progress, when people are like, do you think you'll ever stop? No, I will not, but I will lower.
That is progress. Yeah.
It definitely, and it too, like, it's funny you brought that up, because I got a kind of a brand collaboration with Merrick. So I offer like all the labs stuff, the deeper, and like, I'm, and I've had low tests for quite a while, even after, fixed my sleep, did a lot of stuff, still low. I realized that, by the way, I'll make a point out of this, I promise. So it's not,
you're good.
We both, my parents have Parkinson's. So we ended up going like, hey, let's look at if I have this Alzheimer's gene, Ep.282, which I do, which just puts me at a higher risk of Alzheimer's. Now, I'm doing all the things to kind of battle that, strength training, cardio, eating right, getting my sleep, so on and so forth. Cognitively, like, for instance, reading a lot, doing puzzles, doing problem solving things. But, one of the things that popped up, because I was like, man, like every time I've done my labs for tests, it's always been low, right? And in the past, I would be like, well, yeah, like I'm not sleeping a lot. I'm like working like crazy, this, that, the other. And now I've fixed a lot of those and worked a lot of those things. It's still low. And I talk to them, and they're like, well, here's this EPO2 gene. There's possibly some consequences from it, because it, don't produce fat the same way. And so that could affect your testosterone as well. So it could be low because of that. So trying to figure out, kind of going through the exercise, nutrition, sleep, and then supplementation, if we can affect it. And then, do we go to pharmaceutical route? But my point there being is too, when earlier, the reason why I'm such a big fan of labs is because, for someone like me that's like, all right, I live this, I'm really diligent about so many things. And yet still, there was a bunch of things that under the hood, right, the deep health that we looked at and was like, whoa, this is off. Like, hey, I need to work on this, right, to be as healthy as I can be and to not run into some problems. And so I highly encourage this, by the way, right? Like, I'm a big fan of people doing labs. And I think there's a lot of times, I think that it's beneficial for people to have like this, for example, you step on a scale or you do an InBody or DEXA, and you're like, hey, here's your body fat percentage, here's your weight, and like, this is where it puts you. And for some people, I think that's very powerful. We're going to bring a company in that does, also VO2 max testing. So
nice.
Which has become huge, especially after, Peter Attia and Outlive and that stuff has exploded, which I think is a really good thing. But, people do VO2 max tests, and it's like, hey, like, you're in a bottom 15 percentile. Like, here's what this means. Like, you'll live, 10% less. And, here's the problems you might run into. Because sometimes it's important, like, even for me, I looked at that stuff of like, oh shit, like, I gotta figure this out, because I want to be as healthy and as optimal as I possibly can. And so, it's important to be able to, get that deep health check and be able to, like now address it. Cause you can go to people and show them this stuff like, hey,
Sure.
like these are real stuff. Like, okay, let's do it again, 12, 16 weeks from now and see how much you improve.
I love that. That's incredible, dude. I love that so much. Just the more data that you can get, and then you can make better decisions and realize really how bad stuff is, so.
I mean, it comes back to like the, assessment precedes awareness, right? It's very easy to go like, how are you? I'm pretty healthy, man. Right? Based on what?
Yeah. What's that mean?
I'm pretty healthy, right? Like I eat pretty good. But that's why you go like, all right, well, let's look at your nutrition because they're obviously there to get help, right? So it's like, hey, pretty good. I don't eat that bad. And those are all things that are in the ether. And if you can put things down and go like, here's your VO2 max, here's your, I train a lot of high level athletes, from NFL, NBA, so on and so forth. Guess what? Like, it's like we do tests and we go, here's where you are, here's where you got to be to achieve the thing that you want to achieve. And it's like, oh shit, certain things will show like, hey, you're not good here. Like you're weak here. Yeah. But here's what's great. You got a ton of potential. We can make you better. Same thing goes for, for food. But again, deep health to me has just been like, it's like underneath, like what are the markers that are actually showing how you're doing? And I found that a lot of people, can get a little bit of a slap, compassionate slap in the face. Like, hey, what's going on here? So again, assess things, because if you're just saying something again, it comes back to that, like, this is how I feel, this is my emotion. Assess it, like get a true assessment of what's going on. And most of the time you will be blown away. Right. And again, that assessment will give you direction, because with clients, it's not like, think about nutrition, like how complicated it can get. Right.
Sure.
And tell me that if you didn't ask a client and said, all right, with where you are right now, what do you think are some things that you could change? Is everybody not going to give you an answer? They'll be like, well, I could do a little bit less of this, a little bit more of that. And so you go, okay, cool. Well, pick and choose one that you feel most confident you can do. And they'll give you one. Okay, cool. That's the next step, right? You don't need all the steps. Like you just need the next step. And I love this like principle and philosophy, but it's this. Direction is more important than destination, right? If you're going in the right direction, you'll get where you want to go.
Sure.
But a lot of people are like, I got to get to this destination. I got to get this to destination. And then they make emotional decisions that actually take them off the path.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, the next step is direction. Right. So if you're like, I know I got to do this, this is for sure going to help me get to where I want to go. Cool. Right direction. You take that step, you get good at that step, take the next step. And the next step, right? And again, I would encourage people that have failed the other way, which is like destination and then go hardcore to the destination, and then emotions are guiding you. Man, try it this different way.
So much less stress and pressure, and that like chasing vibe goes away. You know what I mean? It's like the worst feeling ever.
I can't remember what I said, but if you say that I tell clients to not say I lost weight. Right, because when you lose something, you want to do what?
Subconsciously find it.
You want to get it back, right?
Yeah.
But what you can say is like that you feel 20 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Right, feeling. I mean, there's other ways that you can do it, but there is a lot of when you listen to people speak, I do it a lot where I'm like I'm listening to what they're saying, and sometimes it's like somebody will constantly be like, yeah, but right, there's always a but. And so what you're doing is like you're discovering that they have a bunch of limiting beliefs,
right?
That are coming out through their language. And I think as a coach, and even as a person, if you're listening to this, catch yourself.
Yeah.
Are you turning things into a negative, right? Real quick, or cynicism. I feel that cynicism is a thing that happens when you've been hurt a number of times, and it's a protective mechanism, right? So you just go like. Well, that's not for people like me, for like us. So you make a joke out of everything, or everything becomes a cynical thing. It's a protective mechanism, right? It's like you've been hurt before, you failed before. So now to avoid it, you don't try, you stay away from any of those things that could, so you stay complacent in a place you don't like, but it's better than getting hurt, right? And again, realizations of this stuff are, I think, very, very, very important, because all you need is like, for me is like gain some awareness, and that can be the trigger to be like, oh shit, like I do that. Let me now be aware of how I'm doing it, and then start changing, right?
That's so good, dude. Man, this has been, I'm so glad we got the kinks worked out in the beginning, because this turned out to be the best conversation ever. So, dude, I know you're busy, and I know we're going over, but I really, really appreciate you being so willing to do this and whatnot. This has been good.
Man, my pleasure, brothers. I mean, look, if we can't live overcoming obstacles, then who the hell are we to be, talking about this stuff on podcasts, damn it. So hey, it's my pleasure. And I just, I hope that again, that here's my thing for anybody that's listening to anything, like when you listen to a show, because this is my rule, right? Like something that stuck with you that you're like, ooh, I should do that, or I ought to do that, or this isn't, go and do it. Like, take an action after you learn something. It's one of the most important feedback loops that you can create in your life, because if you're learning something or something hits you, or you have some awareness and like, oh, okay, I'll get back to that later. You won't. After this, do something, make a call, order delivery service, hire a coach, get a book, plan, prepare, cook for the next day, like something that we talked about, because that will connect learning to doing. And then guess what? You do more of that. At the end of this year, you'll be a very, very different person if you take action on the stuff that you learn. So that's my, I say, if you can do me and us a favor, do that.
That's right. Where can people find you if they want to see what you got going on and learn more about you? Where can people find you?
I would say the top places are on Instagram. It's Luka Hocevar. So at Luka Hocevar, LukaHocevar. And my YouTube channel, same thing. If you type that in, it's going to pop up. I have a podcast called the Vigor Life Podcast. And courses, workshops are at lukahocevar.com. I'm sure I missed something, but through those, like I usually, if you're in the Seattle area, my gym is vigorgroundfitness.com. We're in Renton. So if you want to physically actually come in, this is where we're at. But I think those are most of the main ones.
I dig it. I'll make sure we put all those in the show notes and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, dude, thank you again for doing this. This has been great.
My pleasure, brother.
Cool. I'll talk soon.
Peace.
And we are back. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. It means a lot. I know this was a little bit longer episode. Be sure and follow Luka. Be sure to do me a favor and shoot him a message and be like, yo, I listened to you on Jared's podcast. That was legit as fuck. It would mean a lot to me. Be sure to also subscribe to the show and give it a review, because you have no idea how much doing that helps, like my show, but just shows in general. This is how we organically get this message to the right people and to more people. But also the biggest thing is, just do me one favor. My only ask is, if this episode or any of my other episodes resonate, send it to a friend, just one. I mean, we could quite literally double the entire show's not ratings, well, that too, but we could quite literally double the show's downloads and get more people the help that they need by just telling one person. If you got value out of this, send it to a friend, post it on your Instagram story, whatever the case is, because if you got value out of this, don't hold it all to yourself and share this, because it's going to help a lot of people if it helps you. So do that. Before you go, I do have a lot of things for you, depending on where you're at and kind of in your journey. So if you go to the description, I have a lot of stuff there for you, because I don't want you leaving empty-handed. Number one, if you're newer to this stuff and you're not quite sure where to get started or kind of what way is up, you should go through my free course. I have a free course. It's a mini course. It's all video. It's called the Fat Loss Checklist, and it will tell you exactly how to lose like your next 30 pounds without your life sucking, and what's true and what's not, and how to set yourself up for success. Then if let's say you know what to do, but you're either not doing it, or you're struggling with accountability and support, you should absolutely go join my Fat Loss Simplified community, because the truth is we become like those we associate with, and most people on this journey are alone. Husband doesn't get it or care. Kids don't give a fuck. Friends are insecure and like crabs in a bucket, so they just keep pulling you down. And most people are just kind of on their own, and it sucks. And I have a free community called Fat Loss Simplified. It's hosted in Facebook. That way I put a ton of resources in. My entire team is in there, and we pour into this community of people every single week. And if you're not in there, you'll want to be in there. Some of my best content outside the podcast is in that community. So you'll want to join that. Like I said, the link's below. And then if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I think I need a little bit more support. You could, let's say you feel like you could benefit from actual one-on-one accountability in a plan tailored to you. That way you don't have to be thinking about this stuff anymore, or hoping and wondering and praying and crossing your fingers that what you're doing is working, or you're tired of the mental hoops to jump through and your bandwidth being zapped trying to figure it out, trial, error. If that's more of where you're at, you should absolutely apply for coaching. Now, we don't work with just anyone and everyone. There's a qualification process, and we have to make sure this is the right fit. And then we can talk about options from there. But if that's kind of where you're at, you should absolutely apply to see if you qualify. That way we can end your struggle once and for all. And that link is down there below as well. Otherwise, I appreciate the fuck out of you. Thank you so much for being here. It means more to me than you know. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you next week.